recent drought in the Horn of Africa started as a result of a prolonged period of insufficient rains in 2009, which culminated into a humanitarian crisis in 2011. In Kenya, a combination of crop failure, poor livestock conditions, and rising food prices eroded the coping capacities that threatened the lives of 3,750,000 people. The scope of this crisis prompted the government of Kenya and the emergency humanitarian agencies to facilitate immediate assistance necessary for saving lives. In addition, there was a desire to use emergency interventions to provide a platform for pursuing longer-term objectives and create a constructive path to sustainable recovery. UNDP's role as the lead agency for early recovery is to ensure that humanitarian plans and humanitarian actors integrate early recovery principles in their emergency interventions.
UNDP supports long-term development, but once in a while in an emergency we're called upon to respond to an emergency situation in terms of saving lives and saving livelihoods. But we look beyond the emergency response. We look to sustainable development, we look to resilience, we look to helping communities affected by a disaster pick up their lives and carry on. And as you provide emergency relief and support, you must think about what happens afterwards. And that bridge is called early recovery. It's important to recognize that UNDP does not work alone. It works very closely with the government of Kenya. And in this respect, we also bring in NGOs to provide support on the ground. And so it is really a collaborative effort.
It is through this approach that the Sogot water catchment was constructed by tapping rainwater from the hills. The water flows by gravity into a tank, which the community uses to irrigate the farm. This will help them to maintain themselves through a crisis rather than depend on emergency relief. It is the same story in Nyanai Angakalalio farm, 10 kilometers from Lodwar town. These women are at the weeding stage. Last season they harvested 45 bags of sorghum, each bag weighing 50 kilos. They are now convinced that farming will save their families. Elizabeth meets the community frequently to assess the progress, encourage them, and to listen to their views.
What you see happening here are women working on a FFA project, that is the Food for Asset project. This is a project that is sponsored by World Food Programme, where the community identifies and works on a project that is sustainable and that they can depend on even when WFP eventually leaves the community. The community here is supported by Child Fund, which is WFP partner, where we implement together the FFA. We target households, and in this particular community we have targeted 360 households, on average 5 per household, and that gives us about 1,800 beneficiaries on this project.
Close to these farms, WFP and IOM have constructed water pans where people can access water for domestic use and livestock. 80-year-old Lobwin Lotagor looks relieved that a water pan is close to his village. In the past, he has lost many cattle, not only to drought, but also to cattle rustlers while driving the herd in search of water.
kanki pida lu ga da win ha gu go nga to alom kro ga ku to perorete da ha kure da do nyoto ngi da kure ne ke nyotunga lo do ma da ka kure.
Access to water for irrigation isn't a unique problem to Turkana alone, but also in the vast arid and semi-arid areas of Garissa County. Despite the Tana River flowing throughout the year, recurrent drought emergencies continue to affect the area. A large extent of cultivable land along the river is yet to be fully harnessed. Humanitarian and development actors are looking at this resource more as a source of food security and an option for communities to become self-sufficient. Kora Kora Irrigation 1 is one of the farms along Tana River run by a group of 35 members. The farm has grown over the last 6 years despite the challenges of management and the use of canals that lose half of the water along the way before reaching the crops.
As you can see now, we have planted bananas and we have vegetables. We have the tomatoes. So part of these produce, we take them to the market, we sell it. Some goes back to the community for the consumption. That is the group members, they consume. So whatever the profit they get, we share that.
FAO has worked closely on this project with the government of Kenya and other organizations to provide the much-needed ownership in rehabilitating the Jara Jara irrigation scheme, which collapsed in 1997 after El Nino rains changed the course of the Tana River. The irrigation channels from the river has enabled rice farmers to plant their crop throughout the year. The project is growing and currently supports about 600 farmers, making them self-reliant and resilient to crises. This is the essence of the early recovery approach.
Each farmer has at least 1 hectare, and in average, the variety of rice grown here, the basmati or pishori rice, gives 4 metric tons per acre.
The International Organization for Migration has embraced the early recovery approach into its work in Turkana. Fishing, for example, is one of the growing livelihoods which is bringing steady income to communities around Lake Turkana. It is not only responding to the symptoms of the emergency alone, but building the resilience of communities by actively supporting livelihoods in various ways. The demand and the growing market will provide great opportunities to capitalize on the fishing industry. Esther Nyanya is one of the beneficiaries of the fish market shelter. Last year, she lost 100 goats to drought before joining the fishing trade.
IEM anakuja anasaidia sisi kabisa. Anatuchangia nyumba. Tumekaa kwa kipuli. Tumepata maji. Tumeuzia samaki yetu kwa kipuli. Usaidi sasa ile mimi nataka hatuna mali ya kuweka hii samaki na baki. Hii samaki kibaki tunamwaga. Asa nataka kitu kama barafu. Ile baki naweka.
IOM and Oxfam are supporting women's groups in Turkana to be engaged in basket weaving in Lodwar town and surrounding villages. Most of these women are victims of drought, and they are operating under the umbrella of Turkana Women Handcraft Society. Anne Kiria is the society secretary. She thinks the society has a lot of potential if a proper marketing infrastructure is established.
Kama tungepata tu transport na showroom Nairobi, kulingana na experience yangu, itawasaidia kwa sababu tunapeleka tu, tunaweka mahali moja, alafu tunauza hapo kwa wholesale ama kwa retail. Ama tunakuwa na samples ya kupeleka hata nchi za ng'ambo.
A healthy community is more resilient to the impacts of drought. UNDP has installed a shallow well in Kakuma where the local people are using the water for domestic use and to grow vegetables. The production of vegetables improves household food security and health and nutritional status of communities. Sustainability is maintained as an additional activity in the project to improve community healthcare through good nutrition practice. At St. John's Primary School in Lokichogyo, UNDP has introduced greenhouses at the school where the pupils grow tomatoes and vegetables for school use.
This one is a project to help the school in some of its needs and also to boost the school feeding program so that we can improve the nutritional standard of the kids.
This project has been a success, not only for improving dietary habits, but the money received from the surplus sales has helped to employ an additional 2 teachers at the school, which is understaffed with only 11 teachers for 1,250 pupils. At Alijugu village in Garissa North, Eastern Province of Kenya, these nomadic communities bring milk here every day. Although the rains have improved the situation, the drought claimed the lives of many animals, severely impacting the economic stature of the communities dependent on livestock. The International Rescue Committee is working in partnership with a local NGO, FAIDA, to train women groups on milk management, hygiene and preservation. The Hakenle Star Women Group in Dadaab district are not lagging behind. They are taking their situation into their own hands. The 15 members have organized themselves to tap into market opportunities by engaging in various income-generating activities that elevate their living standards and breaking away from the usual dependency. One of their booming activities is cooking and packaging camel meat.
In 1 week, we get a profit of 12,000 flat, 12,000. So that's 12,000. We sit now in a month. The group sit in one time, so that we decide the right person to give in that. If we see that it is 2 people or 1 person, it can start for him something that can bring an income generating to the group.
This women's project is supported by UNDP through the Ministry of Livestock and encourages self-reliance in an area vulnerable to drought. In Saka village, northwest of Garissa town, villagers have turned out in large numbers, queuing for their monthly share of money. This is part of an unconditional cash transfer project that expanded into a cash for work project. Adesso, like many other organizations and agencies, are using this method to issue money to the most vulnerable by empowering them to prioritize their own needs. These cash injections were initiated to ensure that the community functions normally and market systems are maintained throughout the drought. Fatuma Abdi, a mother of 7, is one of the cash transfer beneficiaries. She says cash transfer has changed their lives.
Tulikuwa na shida nyingi sana za pesa. Tulikuwa tunapeanwa chakula peke yake na WFP. Sasa tumefaidika. Tukapata pesa ya kununua chakula, kununua maziwa na nguo za kuvalia shule na kuwanunulia watoto vitabu na uniforms na kuwalipia karo za shule.
There is a need to intensify disaster risk reduction work that targets long-term sustainable solutions. Integrating early recovery in humanitarian response is proving to be a worthwhile venture that strengthens and builds resilience to mitigate the impact of disasters on development progress.